Hey there, Grateful Gang. I think I may have done it this time. Was it like a smooth transition? Am I on mute? I think I actually might have done it. So welcome to our Thursday night broadcast called Gratefully Living the Chronic Life with Lauren. Although I think I'm going to take the Lauren out because even though I'm kind of the host of it, since it's an interactive show, it's more than just with Lauren. It's like with all 5,300 of us. So I may take that with Lauren out, but it's Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. And that's what we do here every week. This is episode 7 already. It seems like it's brand new. We're already a couple of months into it. And we've had a great time. We pick a new topic each week, something relating to living our best lives with chronic pain, illness, injury, and that's emotional or physical pain or both. And we kind of have, I was telling some of the other moderators earlier today, that it's kind of like a town hall atmosphere. At least that's how I see it. And I really, really like that. I like being able to kind of bounce things off of each other and maybe come to a conclusion or have ideas that we get from everybody else to put back in our heads. So let's say hi to some people first. We have Linda. Hi, Linda. All right, now would be a good time to talk about this. Facebook users. Hey, Lauren, Blanchard, Zalewski. Hi there. The reason why it says Facebook user on the screen, I don't know if this was apparent last week, but on my dashboard, I can't see the actual comments that come in or who says them. All I see is exactly what you see on the screen, which is Facebook user and then the comment. The reason for that is, for those of you that haven't been here with us before, because AOG is a closed group, this company StreamYard that I do the broadcasts through, they need permission from every user to use your name on the screen. It's a privacy thing. So once you've given them permission once, apparently you never have to do it again. But maybe you saw a login or maybe something to click on when you came in. That's what that was. If you want your name seen, you may not, and that is completely fine. But if you do, I've heard an easy way to do it is log out and log back in, and then you can do that again. The reason why I was kind of chuckling when this came up, for those of you that were not with us last week, since all I see is Facebook user instead of the person's name, I thought I was going to be all cute and charming and come up with a nickname for the Facebook users that come up that where their name is. And I thought I'd give it the abbreviation Facebook user FU. And then as soon as the U came flying out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. It seems like maybe I had planned it. That was absolutely not planned. It was complete naivete on my part, but also made for a very funny moment. So hi, Facebook user. Thanks for being here. And if you'd like your name to be shown on the screen for other comments, please log out and log back in if you can. So who else have we got here? Gail. Hi, Gail. Thanks for being with us tonight. Hope Blue's doing well. Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Putting up the sunflowers. Arlene. Arlene's here. I'm not home yet, but my phone is working, so I can be here. I'm so glad to see you, Arlene. I didn't think I was going to see you tonight. At the risk of not giving away too much, which I doubt I would be, but if you'd like to tell everybody where you are, and then I could always add to it, but I don't want to I don't want to break your trust. I'm sure it's fine, but that's not my place unless you want it to be. So hi, Arlene. It's really, really nice to see you, and I hope you're doing okay. We have Diana McGillivary Brusso. it's funny because I see your name. We do so much every day between Bruce's group and our group, but you would think your name would just fly out of my mouth. The Diana part I've got well. But the McGillivary, this is coming from someone whose last name is Zalewski, which has a silent W, you realize. So you'd think I would be, more sensitive to names that I just can't pronounce very well, but maybe someday you can correct me and I'll get it right. But hi, Diana. Hello. Margaret DeCarico Morris. Hello, all. Hi, everybody. If you are in here and you've never been with us before, we very much like this to be an interactive broadcast. I really, really enjoy, and the consensus is that everybody seems to enjoy being able to speak when you want to speak, and all of your comments will go up on the screen unless you ask me not to put them up on the screen. And it really makes for, I think, just I don't know, like I said earlier, like a more of a town hall feel. So please, whenever you want, check in, just say hi, come at me with your ideas for the group, your thoughts. It really has been working well the past 7 weeks. We have not had a moment, a quiet moment spared. We really are just feeding off of each other. Great. Okay, Arlene. She's in the hospital after surgery. That's where Arlene was. So thank you, Arlene, for sharing that. Okay. I don't know if this is the same Facebook user as before, but it says, hi, Lauren, Blanchard, Zalewski, Arianna. Were you the same FU as a couple minutes ago? I should probably stop saying that, even though I think it's funny, because you kind of had to be here for that joke. And even if you log in like now, you're not going to know what the heck I'm talking about if I just start saying FU. So that's not exactly what an admin from a gratitude group does. But hi, Arianna. Thanks for checking in. And, Diana says I did a pretty good job in pronouncing your name. McGillivary. Yeah? I assume Bruso's Bruso. I'm assuming this is Arianna again. Okay. Well, welcome. We got one more. Kimberly Rose. Hello, all. Hi. So glad you could join us. We, another one of the things I'm really, something weird just went down my throat, and yet I haven't eaten anything. Excuse me. Okay. What was I just going to say? I don't remember. How did the countdown clock look? Was it wicked awesome like I thought it was going to be? Yeah. It's kind of funny, actually, when, you do social media stuff and, I'm a almost 51-year-old grown woman with 2 grown children. And, you try to keep up with like the YouTube and the Instagram and all that stuff. And I really just have no clue what I'm doing, which I know sounds weird coming from somebody who runs a medium-sized chronic pain group. That I can get behind, but some of this other stuff, trying to get things seamless, like a countdown clock leading into the broadcast, isn't so seamless, but I'll get the hang of it. Oh, we've got Ann Baines. Hello from the UK. Hi, Ann. So glad you could join us. I knew this time wasn't great for you, so I'm glad you could join us tonight. Okay, so welcome everybody for being here. And if there's more that are coming in, please check in. Again, if you weren't here in the beginning, this is called Gratefully Living the Chronic Life with Lauren. And we meet every Thursday night, my time. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is my time. I live in New Jersey. And it seems to be a decent time. I mean, if you look at our map, the AOG map, Google map that we put up a couple weeks ago, which is very empty, by the way. You guys need to get on there and put your pinpoints on there. But if you look at the map, we span the globe. So unfortunately, no matter what time we pick is not going to work great for everybody. But this one we found works really well. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk talk about times. There are a couple things I want to talk about. One is our Flush the Format live chats, which we've always done on Wednesday. We've done that on Wednesday afternoon, my time, for a couple of years now. Linda does it. Linda Edwards is our hostess with the mostest, and she's absolutely phenomenal at it. And we've always said, almost since the beginning, like, when we get more people at the Wednesday, we'll think about adding another day time. And we were both on the same page, saying, yeah, that's a good idea. And we tend to have the same steady group on Wednesdays, which is not small by any means, but it didn't really justify adding a new one. But then when the coronavirus hit, she and I felt strongly, and the other admins, Jen and Deborah, felt that we really should offer as many opportunities for our members to kind of build on the community and speak to anybody as much as possible, because we all know that isolation can be deadly. I mean, even people without chronic pain and illness, they're starting to learn what isolation can look like, and getting in our heads, which can be a dark place. We've known that for a while. So we know this. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So my whole point, though, of this is that we added the Tuesday night in, and since then we've had almost the same amount of people as we do on Wednesday. Some of them are the same, they carry over, and some of them aren't. So they've been so well attended. This Wednesday, which was yesterday, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think we had in my opinion, the best chat we've ever had. Eva O'Malley, who is one of our members, and she says, I knew she was with us really from the beginning. She says she thinks she was one of the first 50 members, which is pretty amazing. She's the funniest girl in the world, and she does a lot of service work for an organization called CHAD, which is something about ADHD children and adults. And when I say she's active, she doesn't just fundraise, like, she educates people and all that. Somehow our conversation got on this during the broadcast yesterday. Why would this apply to living with chronic pain and illness? It did a lot. The ties between what she feels and the experts feel, the ties between that and fibromyalgia are. It was super, super interesting. Certainly, not from a medical professional, but her opinion was crazy interesting, and she had a lot of stuff to back it up. So I spoke with her last night, and she has agreed that she's going to come on and be a guest, special guest on this show at some point when it's the right fit. And she's going to kind of elaborate on some of the stuff she was telling us yesterday. Super, super interesting. So thank you, Eva, if you're listening. Okay, let's break in with some of our grateful peeps here. Arlene says, today I am adaptable by using my phone rather than my laptop. That is adaptable. Ooh, that's a good segue into our topic, my friend. I love it. Arianna, I think I fixed it. Can you see my name now? Arianna, yes, we can see your name and your beautiful photo now. Thanks, Arianna. A couple other things I want to mention in the group before we get to our topic. I've mentioned a few times, I think, in my daily gratitude and maybe in the daily intentions, that yesterday we had an admin meeting. Me, Linda, Jen, and Deborah, which we do maybe once a month, but we added another one in because there's something coming up that we needed to discuss. And for those of you that have been in the group for a while, you'll know that in the U.S., Memorial Day is coming up this weekend. And way back, this is going to be our 5th Memorial Day in AOG, believe it or not, and our 5th one doing what I'm about to tell you about. We do a virtual Memorial Day picnic. This is not just for people of the U.S., by the way. I think somebody told me, and maybe you can clear this up, I think the U.K. celebrates something as well, so you would have a long weekend too. Maybe you can confirm that for me. But anyway, the reason why we started this virtual Memorial Day weekend celebration is because Jackie, who was my co-admin at the time, we both kind of felt that, living with chronic pain and illness, you always, not always, I shouldn't say always, we tend to get maybe not included in a lot that other people do, or we're not able to take part in it, not necessarily by not being invited, but for whatever our disabilities might be or how we're feeling on that day, we may not be able to take part in things like going to the beach, going, to a family reunion, a picnic, barbecue, whatever. So we're like, you know what? It's not the same, but let's do a virtual Memorial Day picnic weekend. And so what we do is we just post things throughout the weekend, little games and stuff. We have a potluck picnic on Saturday, and everybody's going to be in charge of telling us like what your specialty is, what you bring to potlucks or what you used to. It's a whole lot of fun. It's a whole lot of silliness, but we really hoped that it would make people feel a part of when maybe their families were out and they were not a part of. So that is what we're going to be doing. We're starting that tomorrow afternoon. And between the four of us, you'll see various posts from us throughout the weekend. I hope you like it. We agreed that we still wanted to do it, even though picnics are probably not what's going on this year with most people. But it's still fun, and now it's tradition. And I love that it's our 5th year doing it. I can't believe that it's been that long. I can't believe that AOG's been around that long. I know we celebrated our anniversary in January, but it just blows me away how intimate we remain while still growing. Oh, speaking of growing, that was on my list to say too. Yesterday, we got a whole slew of new peeps from Tammy Blizzard, our new member, Tammy Blizzard, who mentioned our group. I guess it's in a group for veterinarians with chronic conditions. So thank you, Tammy, for mentioning that. We got like 15 veterinarians amongst us now, at least. So don't hound them. Ooh, hound them. Pun not intended, but that works. Don't hound them with your pet questions unless they want to add in. Hound them. That's so clever. So clever. Not as clever as that initial I made up last week. That was a bust. Welcome to all you new members. And Tammy, thank you for mentioning us. All right, let's get to this topic. Maybe we could try to keep it to an hour this week, but I don't know. Our conversations have been going so well week after week that I hate cutting something off just for the sake of it being an hour when we're in deep discussion. Maybe I can try to stay on track a little better. Oh, wait. Speaking of staying on track, my t-shirt for today. Every week I wear a gratitude t-shirt because I've developed quite the collection over the years. And this one simply says #gratitude. I like it. Soon you'll be seeing some AOG shirts, some summertime shirts. So be on the lookout for those. Okay, this is episode 7. And the topic I came up with, I didn't put out a poll this week to pick the topic. Last week we worked on depression, and gosh, it was such a powerful hour, 15, 20. Even though the topic is depressing, obviously, it's a topic that really goes hand in hand with, I'm not generalizing here. I'm going by statistics. It goes hand in hand with chronic pain almost all the time. Some bouts of depression, different levels, of course. Some are clinically depressed, some are just in the blues. But it was really helpful to know how you guys get through it. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys to know how I get through it, and then throwing around some ideas. So I wanted to make this week's topic something a little bit more positive. And this topic has come up in my head, and I'm actually writing a chapter on it right now for my book. So that's another reason why it came to me. I'm getting these. It's like summertime, right? I've got a little heater here, and the little heater's like blowing the air my way. It's like those movies in the 70s where you get the hair blowing and you look all glamorous, except mine keeps blowing up my nose and in my mouth, which isn't so glamorous. Okay. Being adaptable. being flexible, having to modify things for your new situation. And I use new in quotes because many of us have been, had a chronic condition. I'm 20 years. I know many people are at least that. We tend to get people who have been sick for a while in AOG. My own thought process on why that is, but I'll share that another time. So when we get sick, injured, clinically depressed, whatever happens to us to bring about our chronic conditions, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a unique and not fun situation, which is oftentimes having to modify or adapt to our new lives with our new normal. And gosh, I mean, you guys can think of many instances, and I'm counting on that tonight for you to share with me maybe situations you've had that have not been easy to adapt to. I've got a ton of them. I mean, who likes to change? Does anybody love change? I don't. And I've said this before, I don't know if in this broadcast, but, people living with chronic pain and illness, we so often, we seek happiness, of course, but we also seek comfort, right? Because we don't find comfort a whole lot. That's a sweeping generalization. But in general, I just don't think that we find being comfortable all the time. And whether that's physically or emotionally or whatever, we're seeking that comfort. So for me, once I find something that works and I'm comfortable there and I'm in my comfort zone, I don't want to change it, right? And so, we're born, we grow up, and when we grow up, the purpose of growing up is for us to become more independent, right? More independent and able to do things by ourselves. And all of a sudden, some of that stuff could be taken away from us, sometimes drastically, sometimes it's slow moving, but it happens. And so, you're an adult here, and all of a sudden these abilities are being taken away from you. So we need to develop adaptability. And if we don't adapt to our new situation, we can often find ourselves pretty miserable, because if we're so stuck in our ways and so much a control freak that we aren't willing to change to suit our new situations, we're going to find ourselves being pretty miserable, because what we plan is not always what happens. All right, I'm going to stop right there. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Actually, I'll put up our first question, which is kind of based on what I had just said. Is it necessary to have to change and become adaptable to our new situations, and why? I would love to hear from you guys all about that. Do you think we need to change, and why? So I'm going to go back to the comments here because we had several come in. Okay. Where did I leave off? It was Arianna and Baines. It is spring break holiday on Monday, so a long weekend, and children would be off school for a week for half term. Maybe you're the one that told me that last year, and somebody corrected me because I was very, in regards to Memorial Day, I was very self-conscious about making sure that we know the world does not revolve around the U.S. just because I'm from the U.S. But I thought everybody could take part in the party anyway. So it sounds like at least the UK would be getting a long weekend anyway. If where you live doesn't have a long weekend, it's okay, because really we don't either. We're all confined to our homes still. Well, not all, but we're supposed to be at home, and I don't think anybody's going to be going to massive block parties at the beach. Okay, Arlene says, that sounds so fun. We hadn't blue. Okay, I think your next message is going to explain those last 3 words. Sorry, my meds are kicking in, and I can tell that by my horrible typing. It's okay. We're just glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. And I can't tell you how many posts I've put up after my meds have kicked in that are like illegible. So not to worry. Hi, Glyndal. Glad you could join us tonight. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, we have another Facebook user. Not sure if you've been here for the whole story, but if you want, on my screen, all I see is Facebook user and the comment that says, I'm so grateful to be here with you, Lauren, Blanchard, Zalewski. Thanks. If you log out and log back in and give StreamYard permission to use your name on the screen, then it will start coming up and you'll never have to do that again. But if you're fine with it just being Facebook user, that's fine too. I just don't know who you are, although I'm sure you're awfully sweet because you sound it, and we all are. Okay, Arlene, the thing that I have accepted is that I have to be adaptable in order to move forward. Yes, agreed. Glyndal says, amen, we need to go with the flow. I hadn't even thought of it from that go with the flow aspect, but that's exactly what it is, isn't it? That's exactly what it is, going with the flow. And we may not like that flow, but we have to go with it. Well, I think we have to go with it. We have 2 options. We either go with it or we don't. And I'm sure you guys can figure out what happens when we do and what happens when we don't. But like Arlene said, moving forward, if we don't change or adapt or be flexible, moving forward is very, very difficult. Arianna says, yes, for many reasons. Personally, I seek change to build courage within myself and for peace. Beautiful, beautiful, Arianna. We're seeing a lot of your personal change in our Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain Journaling Club. She set a challenge to herself to journal every day. I forget what you said, Arianna. Is it for the month or is it for a year? I don't remember. But she's counting the days and putting it in the journaling club, and we're getting to see her challenge and her willingness to change right in the group, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us, Arianna. When I said I don't like change, I really kind of don't. I really don't. However, I do love, I'll use our group, for instance. The AOG for me is such a lesson. Well, it's such a bunch of lessons. I love to learn more about myself, and I love to learn more about why I act the way that I do. And I'm always looking for ways to tweak it, change it, so that I can move forward, like Arlene said. So I do like that aspect of change. But drastically changing a situation that I'm comfortable in is not comfortable for me. Imagine that. Glyndal says, hi, glad to be here. So glad you're here. Okay, Margaret DeCarica Morris says, it is necessary for us to change. Sometimes it means substituting an activity or something as simple as my daughter knowing she needs to unscrew the cap on the water bottle and me letting her. True. At times it might mean using a wheelchair in certain places. That's a beautiful example. That's a beautiful example. And I'm sure you can tell us more, Margaret. I've got to think using a wheelchair at times in the beginning, I would think that was not easy for you. In Amy's last few months alive, for those of you that may be new to the group, Amy was my best friend and she was co-admin of our group. She passed away, it was exactly 2 months ago on Tuesday. Tuesday was 2 months, believe it or not. And she was like my sister, best friend. We did everything together. And in the past, like 6 months of her life, I borrowed a transport chair, wheelchair for her from a friend of mine. And we used it quite a bit. She hated the idea. She felt so, I don't know if weak is the right word, but she found it hard to ask for help. But eventually, when she would feel how she was so much more, like, say, after a day, we went to go visit my daughter, see her perform in Philadelphia when she was on the Nickelodeon Junior Tour back in February. And I knew that Amy would not be able to walk the streets of Philadelphia, and she couldn't even do a block at the end. I mean, it was very difficult for her. And Amy loves adventures. She wanted to have a really great day. So I said, please, please, please let me bring this transport chair. Let me push you. We didn't have to go far. And you know what? She did let me. And she even commented afterwards how great she felt. She wasn't exhausted. She didn't have to sleep for 3 days after that. So that change was difficult for her. She also started using those motorized scooters at the grocery store. And that was hard for her at first too. But when she saw the payoff of both of these things, she's like, why haven't I done this sooner? Right? Those are just small examples. I'm sure you guys have your own. Kimberly Rose. I believe it is very important because our bodies change and pain can be unpredictable, and it can also affect your mental state. So without being able to adapt, we could possibly suffer more. We would overexert ourselves physically and mentally. That's an awesome point, Kimberly. Thank you. You're right. Our bodies do change constantly. Our abilities change all the time. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's more than I think, but I think once you get this new situation, your chronic condition, it doesn't usually like, bam, here it is and stay the same, unless maybe an injury or something like that. But if you've got, autoimmune or something like that, a lot of times you get diagnosed with various things over the years. Some of your abilities come, some of them go. So it's not necessarily linear. It's very, very fluid. So being able to, like Glyndal said, go with the flow, I found is very important. But also, as Kimberly's saying, we could hurt ourselves, right? We could hurt ourselves in many ways if we refuse to believe what our current situation is in a number of areas. If we overexert ourselves, we could really hurt ourselves. And is it worth it just because we're not willing to change? I don't know. I don't think for me it is. Glyndal says, be okay with reality just as it is. And, sorry, I'm a little behind here, guys. And we have Facebook user. I think change is what keeps us active and going. It's not always easy, but it's always a learning experience. Great point. I'm smiling because I had written something down in my notes about the learning experience of it all too. Let me read that again because I really loved what you said. I think change is what keeps us active and going. I hadn't thought of that part though. That's an excellent point. I bet you're right. It's not always easy, but it's always a learning experience. Yeah, I've found that living with a chronic condition is a constant game of, it's constant trial and error, isn't it? And the more we do trial and error, we start to notice things that do work and don't work. It's all a big learning process, which can be fascinating, frustrating, all of the above. And with each lesson that we learn, we get a little bit, just a tiny bit better at all of this. And we have soul growth. Our soul is able to grow, and we're like, I'm going to use this all night, Glyndal, but like you said, moving forward. I like that term a lot. If we don't learn from the things that work and the things that don't work due to change in these learning experiences, our souls can't grow. And it's not even just like the emotional soul part. It's physically, it's emotionally, it's spiritually, maybe financially, socially. I mean, this really comprises a lot of different things when you think about it. Glyndal says, be okay with reality just as it is. Oops, did I already read that one? Yes, I did. Well, it was so good, I had to read it again. Yes, being okay with reality just as it is like, if I were to pick our top 3 mission statements for AOG, that's got to be there in the top 3. We learn how to be okay with our situations as they are instead of constantly trying to fight it and change it. Because most of us have done that already. You know, we've made ourselves maybe sicker, made ourselves crazy, because we're not willing to accept our new reality. We're in denial, the stages of grief that we go through. And so when we finally realize, not that we need to give up, because we never give up. We never have to give up. And I'll never give up hoping for cures and treatments and all that stuff. I just don't put all my eggs in that basket anymore, because then I'm missing out on life, right? Do you guys ever do that? Or did you do that in the beginning, maybe? I don't want to miss out on life. That's part of this whole mission statement with AOG. We try to learn how to be okay with this situation so we can be happy with our lives and be fulfilled. You know, it's not just struggling. It's not just striving to be happy. It's thriving, you know? I like that term too. We're not always suffering. We can struggle, but we don't have to suffer. That's where our heads come into play. We can struggle a lot, but suffering is a state of mind. Just a word. For me, it's a really strong word. That's how I feel. For me, not for anybody else, but that's how I see it. I see suffering as a word that incorporates how I'm dealing with my pain. And I tend to not say suffer. I say struggle. You know, little tips that we learn from each other. Facebook user. We read that one again already. Okay. Arianna says all year. Oh, you're doing the journaling thing all year. Yay. If you guys aren't a member of the AOG Journaling Club and would like to become a member, it's free just like our regular group, but we work on different journaling sort of challenges relating to journaling. Deborah Immer Scott is our new chairperson. Amy used to do that. She did that for a few years. And Deborah has recently taken it over, and she's just fantastic. And we've got some new life in that group, Arianna being one of them. This month we're doing doodles. I always have to show my artwork. Today was borders and things. See down at the bottom of my screen there? Those little heart borders? That came from the doodling challenge today. And there's all sorts of, studies about what doodling can help us with emotionally too, just like Zentangles did last month. But anyway, if you'd like to join our group, it's called Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain Journaling Club. We have a couple hundred members in it. It's been around for a few years. Participation is completely optional. So if you like a challenge one month, you can participate. If you don't like it the next month, you can just stay quiet. You never have to participate. You can just kind of see what we're doing. It's really great and very inspiring. Arianna, you're inspiring me, babe. Thank you. Okay, let's not get behind in these questions. Kimberly Rose says, it's still hard for me, but I know it is necessary. I love consistency. Yeah, consistency. And the change is very hard when it's something that I know I was very good at. I used to be a runner and very active. I had to adapt a lot so I don't overdo it, even things such as cooking. I'm going to keep trying, but it gets frustrating. I hear you, my friend. Totally hear you. It's really, really important stuff you just wrote there. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but the years that I was doing the group question of the day, and now Jen Leos has been doing it for a while, we tend to not ever ask questions about things that we've lost in our lives, because we never want to spin it on the negative. We always want to try to see what you've gained rather than lost. But once in a while, a question will be worded like, for example, what sport did you play in high school? And you would say cross country, Kimberly, and we'd be like, wow, that's a real change. It's fun getting to know each other. Those group questions are great for that. Everything, all the questions are good for that. And thank you, Jen, for being our fearless leader in the group questions. All right, where are we here? Okay, we've got Arlene. I wanted to be home by now, but I have had to adapt because my body and my doctors say I have to stay a bit longer. This has made me feel frustrated, but if I want good results, I have to do this. Adaptable, my new code word for pissed. Adaptable is your new code word for pissed off. I love that. Well, for today anyway. Adaptable. I'm so adaptable. I think that's a smart move to listen to what the doctors say. Talking about Amy again, she spent so much time in the hospital, and I spent almost every time she was in the hospital, I spent most every night with her, and she was very full of fear, and rightfully so. She needed a heart transplant, and she was always very scared for anything new that they asked her to do, or having to stay a week too longer than she had to. And I would always try to be, the good best friend, like telling her what's good about that stuff. Easy for me to say, I'm not the one sitting in that bed, right? But yeah, she hated the hospital. I mean, nobody likes the hospital, right? She was just in there so often in the end. So she's out of pain, and I'm so grateful for that. Yes, you go about being adaptable, Arlene. Glyndal, yes, the wheelchair was difficult to embrace. In the beginning, I saw the negatives. Now I view it as something that enhances my life. Glad I don't have to use it every day. Once I embrace change and whatever positives it brings to our lives, it's easier to adapt. I'm going to read that last sentence again. Once I embrace change and whatever positives it brings to our lives, it's easier to adapt. That's excellent, excellent, excellent point. I like that a lot. I think that's a quote if I ever saw one. You're right. You're right. And so maybe your first time in the wheelchair was really difficult. Amy was convinced that everybody was looking at her, which of course they weren't. She also had to wear a PICC line and this whole gizmo around her neck with this computerized thing that was on her, and she was always convinced people were looking at her, and of course they weren't looking at her. And once she got used to it, she realized that. Okay, we've got Facebook user. Hey, okay, now Bergies is FU. Change is what keeps us going. Those of you that haven't been here, Bergies is my BFF from high school, who was always so supportive of me. She was here last week, so she knows all about the FUs. Hey, Bergies, glad you're here. Good for adapting change with your new nickname. Thank you. And thanks for being here, buddy. Ann Baines, a lot of people go through the grief process when they have a diagnosis, and is often only when the person reaches acceptance that they will make the changes to improve their life. Yes, absolutely. When I picked this topic, since I'm doing some of the topics I'm working on in my book, I had grief and being adaptable in the same chapter originally. I'm doing like different essays on different topics. I thought for people like us with brain fog and all sorts of fog, that it would be easier for people to read essays on the subjects versus a big book that goes from start to finish. And then also you can pick a topic that interests you on a particular day. That's the way I'm organizing it. But anyway, I had grief and adaptability all in one because they really did kind of flow together. You're right. You're right, Anne. Absolutely right with the grief process. And so I was writing a little bit about the grief process with chronic pain and illness the other day too. And I'm going to get them wrong now. There's denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance. Denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Denial, anger, I think I had a. If you don't know the stages of grief, they do apply to chronic pain and illness as well. Oh, gosh, I don't think I would have remembered this one. Shock. When one feels both a mental and physical reaction to the initial recognition of the loss, then denial, then anger, then bargaining, such as, I'll only eat clean for the rest of my life if you can just solve this for me. Or, I'll start being a better person. Sometimes we bargain like that. Depression. That I would have come up with. Depression and acceptance. And you're absolutely right as far as acceptance. It's really hard for us to go anywhere, move forward without having that acceptance of things. And that's not always linear either, these stages of grief. We can jump around from stage to stage. And right when we think we've mastered one, I feel like I do this every day. I feel like I have to go back to acceptance every single day because sometimes I do things that are just not really smart. And if I come to a place of acceptance about my abilities, I would have been okay. I know this about myself. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. That's why I like talking to you guys. But yes, so when you come to a place of acceptance, then you're willing to adapt to those changes, right? That's what you're saying, Anne. And I think that's right on the money. And, then you can go through depression again. And then we get diagnosed with different stuff. And you have to go through the process all over again. So it's not like any of this is like one and done. It's a constant growing process, right? I see it that way anyway. All right, I want to, before I get to more comments from our gang here, I had another group question that I'll just ask it now so we can get some answers in here. Can you remember a circumstance that was difficult for you to modify to suit your new situation? And how did you do it? Or maybe you haven't done it yet and you're still working on it. I'd love to hear from all of you. If you don't want to tell us the circumstance, that's totally fine. Tell us how you did it or when you did it and how that's changed things for you. So we've got that question going up right now, and let's hear from anybody that wants to comment. I really appreciate your comments. Okay, next we have Glyndal again. We suffer. That sounded awful. I didn't mean Glyndal again. That's not how I meant it. You keep talking, Glyndal. I'm not sick of you talking. That sounded really strange the way it came out of my mouth. It was not meant like that. Glyndal says we suffer when we resist reality. Oh, yes. Wow, I've never thought of that before. That's absolutely true, in my opinion. Wow, I'm writing that down. Don't worry, I won't steal it without talking to you. But we suffer when we resist reality. Yes, that is true. Oh my gosh, you just blew my mind, Glyndal. We suffer when we resist reality. Thank you very much. That's very insightful. I love when you guys blow my mind. I'm certainly no expert on anything, just my own experience. So it's always nice hearing what you guys have done and what maybe as a group we can all work towards with our situations, or or at least ponder. Arlene says, I have to go now, ladies. Thank you for your words today. I am inspired. Thank you for being here, my friend. Feel better and listen to the doctors, and hope that you're home soon. Thank you for my happy mail the other day. That was a nice surprise. And we love you, Arlene. Thanks for being here. Glyndal, you're probably laughing at the way that came out of my mouth, right? Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean it that way. Hey, we've got Linda Canalicchio, I think, right? Haven't seen you in a while. Nice to hear from you. And then, so Glyndal said, when we resist, we suffer. And Linda has a great point too. Well, we resist because we can't accept. Oh man, that's an excellent point too. So it's like a never-ending spiral, isn't it? We suffer when we resist reality, but we resist reality because we can't accept it. Oh, you just blew my mind too. I'm ready to get down. Thank you, Linda and Glyndal. That is so, so true. So I'll add this question in too to the other one I asked. Okay, if that's true, and I firmly believe it is, how do we go about accepting? Maybe that's a topic for another day. I don't know. But if we can't accept our reality, that might be another topic, actually. I think that one's loaded. I think we can get a lot out of that. But if anybody wants to answer, that would be great. This is excellent, Linda. Thank you. All right, every pen I'm trying has no ink in it. Let's try this one. We resist because we can't accept reality. Oh, you know what? This is a really good point to do something that I was supposed to do all the way up in the beginning, which is I had a reading that kind of applied to this topic. Well, not just kind of, it does apply to this topic, in my opinion, from Living with It Daily Meditations for People with Chronic Pain. This is the group that I put the daily readings in our AOG chatting group every day. Obviously, it's a very loved book. It's falling apart. But I found this one the other day when I picked this topic, and I thought it was a good one. And coming on the heels of Linda's comment, I think it might be a good time to read it too. It's from February 7th, and the topic is change. The quote to start us off is by Robert Frost, and it says, "The best way out is always through." And then the reading is, "What does a rabbit do when it's afraid of being seen? It freezes. It doesn't fight. It doesn't run. It remains alert and motionless until danger comes too close. I'm tempted to do the same at times, to be paralyzed by fear and hide behind my pain rather than go in a new direction. The rabbit and I may stay safe for the moment, but eventually we'll have to run and take the risk of moving. Change can scare me, whether it's a new job, working on a relationship, trying a new pain management skill, or undergoing therapy. I initially freeze and I'm afraid to go on. I can relate to that. Can you guys relate to that? Like the rabbit, when I feel a need to change, I run helter-skelter in fear rather than straight toward a goal. First, I need to overcome the inertia and the fear. Gradually, I learn or discover that I can relax about change. I can ease into it rather than run from it. I can build on the strength that I've brought from my past and set small goals, then larger goals, until the change is complete and I have accomplished what I set out to do. Isn't that great? And then there's a daily affirmation at the bottom. It says, for today, change is necessary and inevitable. I do best when I don't run from it, but gently take risks and live one day at a time. I thought that was fabulous reading for today. I hope you guys did too. Yeah, freezing. Change can paralyze us, can it? Just like the reading was saying, it can be very paralyzing. And again, it's getting out of that comfort zone of, we've lived a certain way all of our lives. Like I said earlier, we've grown and, learned everything we have so we could be productive, independent, kind, I'll add that in there, kind people. And then things happen and possibly we have to start relying on others. So those abilities get taken away and we can often feel like we are being back in time to when we were children, but yet we're adults. We've learned all this before. We're much smarter than we were when we were dopey kids. And so having that and knowing that I used to be able to do this, why can't I do it now? Why me? Why not me? Right? Why not you? Maybe if you have a higher power, maybe it's a sign that you have something to do with it. I mean, not with having the condition, but maybe you're helping people. I say every day that everybody in our group helps each other just by being there. You may not feel like you are helping people. Commenting tonight, being here tonight, if you're not commenting, it's all helping people while helping yourself. It's a beautiful thing. And I think people that join AOG, in general, we're willing to change too, because the concept of what we do in the group is very odd to some people. Well, let's face it, to most of us, right? At least when we start. Now it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that sooner? Maybe we tended towards the positive all of our lives, but to take it to this extreme, at least in our little group, that's a willingness to try something new, right? To change. And I love that about you guys. Okay, let's get on with some of your awesome comments. Glyndal, acceptance comes on many levels. You are right, my friend. I'd love to hear what you think some of those levels are. Maybe you're referring to what I had said a little while ago, like levels such as emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of those different ways. You need to come to acceptance with kind of all of them, don't you? But I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, Glyndal. Linda says, thank you. Thank you. You came in here with a bombshell of a comment. So happy to be here. We're happy you're here too. I'm very happy to see you. We missed you at Flush the Format this week. Margaret DeCarico Morris. I finally learned how to say no. I can't volunteer and participate in all the things I once did. To adapt, I have to limit activities and choose wisely the ones I stick with. Yeah, I'm one of those too, if you couldn't tell. In my previous life, I was very, very active. That's what makes me happy. It's running a mile a minute. One could argue maybe I didn't want to sit still enough to examine myself. I'm not really sure how a psychiatrist would look at it, but my kids were young, so running them to and from activities. I was like Homer mom, PTA president for our school. I never had time. And although I was sick back then, I hadn't reached that new level where doing those things really isn't not a possibility for me anymore. But yet I still try sometimes. I do. And it's not smart. One of the examples I wrote down is, I love to entertain. I love to, you'll probably find this hard to believe, but I love to see people happy. Call me crazy. But I love to entertain. I've always loved to cook and have people over. And I'm in my groove when that happens. But I find it very hard to take it down a notch. We had a graduation from college party for Riley. I think it's been 2 years since she graduated college. And I had it catered. And trying to think of some of the other ways, like I let, my mom helped a lot. Rob, my husband, helped a lot. Very difficult for me, not because I don't trust them at all. I trust them completely. Just because I love to do it. I think that my way of doing things is the be all end all, which isn't a healthy response either. But anyway, my point is that I'm getting so much better. And I'm starting to realize finally that my loved ones, although they love seeing me when I entertain, they'd rather see me chilled out and be happy than have my special shrimp dish, that takes me an hour. They love that shrimp dish, but they'd rather see me relaxing and being happy. Believe it or not, I'd rather have the shrimp. Just kidding. But that's an example of a way that I've been working on change, and saying no, Margaret, is one of those for me as well. And it's very liberating, isn't it? It's very liberating saying no. It's still very difficult for me to do that, but some things are just not possible anymore. That's acceptance, right? Well, at least on my way. Arianna, I used to struggle with feeling misunderstood and alone. I was innocently and unconsciously self-centered. Oh. I was innocently and unconsciously self-centered. That's a beautiful way of looking at things. And it's resonating with me completely. I'm going to have to remember that. I was innocently and unconsciously self-centered. I accepted that I had a condition and accepted that I can take it one day at a time to learn the new me and learn how to love me through it all. I feel I learn that best when I love on others. When I take care of others, I feel as if I'm taking care of me. You are. Saying a couple minutes ago, you are helping others with your new, year-long project and the journaling club. We were talking at Flush the Format. We saw you the other day. We were all saying how much we're really enjoying your journaling and the good content that you're giving us to get us inspired and motivated. So you're totally helping yourself while you're helping us. I think that's why I love to see people happy. Service work makes me happy, because I feel like I can contribute a little bit in different ways than I used to be able to contribute. We get so many, when you're an admin of a gratitude group, you get a lot of thanks from people. That's one of the beauties about being an admin of a gratitude group, is that you get thanked a lot. I mean, there's hard stuff too, don't get me wrong, removing posts and things like that. But we do get thanks a lot, me, Jen, Linda, and Deborah. And when somebody puts a comment like, this group has changed my life, I know I'm sounding dramatic when I say that, but it happens all the time. Every day we seem to get a comment like that. Or Linda, I think it may have been you. I'm not even sure. Oh, you were on here, yeah. I think it was you that said my family has noticed a difference in me. And Karen Goldberg, I don't know if you're here, but I know your son had said the same years ago. So, man, you know what? That just makes it all worth it. For helping one person, it makes it all worth it. It's a beautiful thing to hear, and makes me know that, we're going with the flow and on the right path here, but we all need each other. We found each other for a reason, I'm convinced. And now we need to hang on to each other, learn from each other, and go with the flow with each other, right? That's what we're doing. All right, a couple more comments here. I read that one. Okay, Gail says that is such a large part of mindfulness, resisting reality. I'm nodding my head in the way that I'm thinking that you might mean is that, are you talking about when our minds wander, when we're meditating, and how John Kabat-Zinn or some of the other experts, well, he's the mindfulness expert, he'll say if your mind wanders 100 times, bring it back 100 times. Is that what you mean by resisting reality? Because that's right on the money. If not, I'd love to hear from you your idea as far as that goes. Resisting reality. It could mean something different, but Gail, I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts were on that, if you don't mind saying it. Glyndal says, levels, yes, you are agreeing with me, emotional, physical, spiritual, etc. This goes back to the questions, the different levels of acceptance that we have to go through for, to live and move forward with chronic pain, illness, conditions. Linda says, wow, saying no is a good sign of acceptance. I think so, right? Thank you. I could do it more often, but yeah, I am saying no. I'm totally saying no. My kids, Riley's actually really proud of me for that, because she knows the real me wants to say, yes, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. She's been very proud of me for that. And Facebook user, cooking for people is how, this could be Bergies. Is it you, Bergies? Cooking for people is how I show love. I'm learning to say no and let others do the cooking. That's where I am coming from with the entertaining as well. Getting catered, as good as the food is, that is like sacrilege for me, because I love to cook. I love to spend all day in the kitchen. Well, no, hashtag the old me liked to spend all day in the kitchen. Now the new me needs to adapt to my new situation. If I had to spend all day in the kitchen, I would sure have to take a lot of breaks and sit down. But better than that, get it catered. Oh, look, it's Diane Hayter. Hi, Lauren. I love your sessions. You have a beautiful heart and are a lively commentator. Thank you. Hello from Toronto, Canada. Is the topic self-esteem? No, today we're talking about adaptability, or having to modify our reality to suit our new one. Things we need to do to change in order to suit our new situations, which are ever changing, and how we go about doing that. Well, self-esteem is a great one too. We can certainly talk about that as well. It's so nice to hear from you, Diane. Haven't seen your name in a while. Thank you for joining us. So we're 10 minutes over the hour. If anybody has any last comments or questions, let me just make sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to touch on. One last question, and it shouldn't be a long one. Why do you think change is so difficult? I would love to hear from you guys why change is so difficult in your eyes. Anne says, thank you for such an interesting topic. I am saying good night, as it is after 2 a.m. here, and I'm finally tired enough, hopefully, to sleep. Well, thank you, Anne, for being here. I know this time doesn't work out well for you. It's really an honor that you decided to spend it here with us at 2 a.m. I hope you sleep well. Thank you for being here. I hope we see you again soon, my UK friend. Night-night. Okay, maybe our comments are done. Maybe we've touched on everything. This could be our earliest ended yet, which would be, nope. Facebook user, we are creatures of habit. We are scared of change. True story. Facebook user, what we know is safe to us, change doesn't always feel safe. Yeah. You're right. It's like freezing like the rabbit does in fear, right? Good point. It doesn't feel safe. And we're all about trying to keep ourselves safe, right? We're our own advocates. We need to be. Margaret DeCarico Morris says it's often out of our comfort zone, especially at first. Totally agreed. All right, gang. I hope we hit everything that you guys wanted to touch on. I definitely touched on things that I wanted to. Man, I got so much good out of tonight. I hope you guys did too. Oh, Glyndal. Sameness equates security. Oh my God, you're full of the quotes tonight. That's brilliant too. Not that the rest of you don't have brilliant quotes, by the way. Certain things come out that I've never thought of. You know, I always think, oh, I've touched on that in my book before. Not that I'm using this in my book, don't worry. But sameness equates security. It's right on the money, my friend. Thank you. That was definitely an eye-opener again. And Diane, because we're used to things being one way and change is often hard, but I hope there will be a positive outcome. But I feel as long as my foundation, which for me is God, I know He will never leave me or forsake me, and it's helping me grow. Beautiful. Beautiful. And Arianna, change takes courage. It does. But you know what? Joining our group took courage, didn't it? In a way. It's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. I get a lot of flack from people saying that we're just sugarcoating the bad stuff and not letting people say their truths. And I kind of tell them what we're about, and it's not that at all. Otherwise, we wouldn't offer nights like tonight or flush the format. It's just a place to escape the negativity once in a while, 24/7. And Gail, if we are mindful, we are aware of our reality. Oh, John Kabat-Zinn, is that a quote of his rather? If we are mindful, we are aware of our reality. Oh my God, that is such a good point. I gotta write that one down too. You're right. He's right. We are aware of our reality. And that's what I was talking about earlier too, with me, like the PTA president running a mile a minute type thing. I said, I think I didn't want to slow down because then you're forced to work on yourself, right? And I didn't want to do that. Not that there's anything horribly wrong with me, but you know, I've got same issues as anybody else. But you're right, when we slow down, when we're mindful, we are aware of our reality. Thank you, Gail and John Kabat-Zinn. Glyndal says, joining AOG did take courage, but I wouldn't read her for anything. I'm trying to think of what that's supposed to say. You wouldn't change it for anything? I'm assuming that's what yeah, there it is. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're all a member of our group. Thank you to all of you for hanging around for basically another hour, 15 minutes again. For those of you that are tuning in after our live broadcast and watching this on video, thank you for bearing with the length of these, but I'm sure once you've watched 1, 2, 3, 7 of them, you'll realize that, you know, we like everybody to get their thoughts in, and just cutting it all off and ending on the hour just for the sake of it being an hour just doesn't feel right to me. So that's why we go long. Actually, I don't think I ever officially said it was an hour long. It was more an intention, right? But Arianna says, yes, I love our AOG fam. We love you too, Arianna. I'm so excited for you, these new changes you're incorporating into your life, and you're inspiring a lot of us. So thank you. And Diana McGillivray Brusso, good night. Thank you so much. Good night to all. Good night to all of you. I don't have a favorite show I've been watching this week, do I? I don't think so. I haven't watched much television this week. I've been feeling pretty good, so I've been writing a lot. My daughter's watching The Office on Netflix for the first time, so I'll catch an episode with her once in a while, which is fun. But that is it. So my favorite thing for tonight, though, is you guys. Thank you for being here. Those of you that tune in every week or whenever you can, I'm very, very grateful. I have so much fun with this broadcast. I know I've done other broadcasts in the past. This one with the give and take conversation, it just makes it for me. So thank you for being here. Glyndal says, thank you. Good night, everyone. Okay. Oop. Thank you. I still have not figured out how to not be FU, but I am Pamela Creighton. Now that we're ending, you say who you are. The next time you log in next week, hopefully, when you log in, there's going to be something that says that like a link that'll take you to giving permission for StreamYard to use your name. And then once you do it once, you'll never have to do it again. Otherwise, on my screen, I think to everybody else who's not watching on my dashboard, they see who it is, which now I know is Pamela Creighton, but Facebook user is all that comes up on my screen. So that's how to get rid of the FU. So anyway, you guys, thank you. Peace, love. I give you my heart and my utmost gratitude. You guys put me in a really great mood every Thursday. It usually lasts all day on Friday too. I love our family. I really love our family. It just keeps getting better and better all the time. Pamela says, thank you. I'll remember this time. So thank you, gang. Thank you, Grateful Gang. Good night, Grateful Gang. Linda, I think it was you that gave me a hard time about not saying that one week, and I've remembered every week since then. So again, peace, love, take care of you, say no to people, and we'll meet up on the flip side, okay? I love you guys. Have a good night. Thank you.